Well, well, well. The Destiny 3 rumors are finally here, which makes sense with the release of the final ship being right around the corner. As such, I thought it was the right time to nitpick certain aspects of the game and give suggestions for fixing them. Before anything, I should note that any idea I throw out is more akin to theory crafting more than anything else, since there is no information regarding the possible sequel. With that out of the way, what I chose to be the first order of business are weapons. While Destiny 2 might be a game that revolves around loot, even more so with guns, it certainly gives you very few reasons to keep most of it. Be it they are considered to be inadequate, they can't replace all the drops that already fulfill whatever role the new edition was supposed to, or because they simply aren't interesting enough. To help me illustrate this, I am going with the thing that I would consider to be the completed Infinity Gauntlet of Destiny 2, the hand cannon. You might ask yourself, why hand cannons? Well, I consider them to have archetypes that mean nothing for most of the game. Their stats bounce around to be over-prioritized or outright ignored, and how they lack a unique function or identity. And if your familiarity with Destiny extends beyond the last 3 years, you might have an idea of what I'm talking about. If not, a quick history lesson. Way back when, in the olden days before the Beyond Light expansion dropped, hand cannons were resistant to the concept of as clear as Darcy is to the concept of viable heavy weapon option. Cue the present day, and now certain weapons are so amazing at it that they have become incredibly sought out, especially if their perk pools contain the likes of One for All, Firefly, or Incandescent. Not Dragonfly though. Dragonfly is not cool enough anymore. Now, on to the subject at hand. For the most part, I find that all hand cannons have similar performance. It doesn't matter that they are aggressive, adaptive, or rapid fire archetypes, they all end up performing similarly in PvE. Although your mileage may vary in PvP. Not a PvP main, don't at me. What ends up happening is that your weapons are more differentiated by their perk pools rather than their archetypes. So with that being the case, why not have perks that are tied to the archetype? An example of this is how fast shooter weapons can make the most out of perks like kinetic tremor since they are triggered after a certain amount of hits. Much like how Malfeasance, a weapon with high rounds per minute, detonates the target after 5 shots. Aggressive frame weapons, which put emphasis on having high damage per shot, can have damage perks like kill clip and multi-kill clip, doubling down on that damage aspect. Ariana's Vow somewhat follows this logic by having high base damage as well as a perk that gives bonus damage and the capacity to retain such a bonus by hitting shields or headshots. Adaptive Frame, being someone in the middle of the pack, can have perks that improve overall performance or that can aid in a specific playstyle. Like how Swashbuckler Puglis combo is tailored towards melee abilities, or how the Lumina enables a support playstyle. Deep shapes perk pool towards a specific goal based on the weapon, rather than throw them around and see what sticks. It could also make room for more unique perks to be made since in theory, there will be less point of friction between perks and weapons. Another thing that should be looked at is how the better weapons are invariably those that have the most total stats. There was a time where stats had more significant role to determine weapon performance and how the player had to leverage his shortcomings in various ways. Nowadays, the more popular offerings lean more towards being stat heavy, having great performance in all aspects. The main problem with this is how they essentially eclipse everything that came before it, and sometimes even afterwards. And yeah, I know power creep is a thing, but there has to be a point where future-proofing your content must include them having clear limitations. Like how a theoretical Destiny 2 sequel must limit its weapon model reuse. I know Bungie has spoken in the past about how complicated and expensive weapon design is, but they should strive to do it anyways. Having more interesting weapon models can be a great benefit to the game in the same way that Monster Hunter benefits from having a different weapon models for each monster. They can be a great selling point as well as help shape weapon function and purpose as they are incubated. I would also note that they should also stop copying Monster Hunter World's weapon design implementation of taping bits and pieces of textures on them and calling it a new gun. It definitely didn't look right to me in World, it certainly doesn't look right to me in Destiny 2. A possible approach to this is by creating a repertoire of weapon designs that can be tapped into as needed. It will depend on if the framework and foundation of the silk allows it, but maybe make a weapon every month or so, at least in terms of graphical assets. Then, as time passes and the stockpile increases, they can be slowly used on future releases so that you get robust loopholes that can be distributed among activities. This might even benefit the design of exotic weapons since they make the most use of unique weapon assets and models in order to better justify the exotic status. Speaking of exotic status, Bungie should make rarities mean something again. Currently, all loot drop consists of legendary rarity weapons, which kinda makes me wonder what is the point of the rarity system if that all there is to it. At this point, the options could be to do away with the rarity system altogether, or reintroduce it by giving somewhat more use to the lower rarities, while making higher options more interesting. One possible implementation is giving rare weapons their own perk pool. These could be considered to be in line with their rarity, so that they enable a specific level of performance. In the same vein, higher tier weapons can have somewhat different perk pool, but that can be considered to be of higher quality than their rare counterparts. This can help in giving the system a clear purpose that can be easily understood by the player base as well as employed by other systems that could be implemented in the future. One such system that comes to mind is weapon crafting. And yes, I am aware of the current discourse surrounding weapon crafting. Hear me out. We need pools! Lots and lots of pools! But in all seriousness, crafted weapons should have their own perk pools, so that they don't eclipse regular drops. Depending on the pool assigned to them, they can be better defined with a clear purpose. An example of this would be using crafted weapons to give players an early access to a weapon type or archetype in order to fill a gap in their builds as they farm. Don't have a Zolly's Bane? Why not craft Zolly's Bane Jr.? It might not be a top tier ad clear weapon, but it might help newer players to better participate in such a role as they farm for the dream daddy that blows everybody away. This idea can be extended to certain exotics. You can have a limited amount of craftable exotic weapons that can be altered to provide a more specific level of performance. While not a hand cannon, Witchkeeper made an excellent use of this idea, with perk option that gives emphasis on different aspects of its capabilities. More or less in the same vein, exotics should be their own entity, being completely separate from other weapon archetypes. Then being self-contained might pave the way for more unique weapon functionality and models, and might even ease up on the design and balance process. Ultimately, this is all just speculation and brainstorming. We don't know if the game will follow the same release schedule and structure currently implemented, make use of new strategies, or revisit old ones. In any case, at least it's going to be very interesting to see what Bungie cooks up for its next installment in the franchise, since Destiny 2 has been a pretty interesting ride so far, even if it took some very shady roads and had 3 flat tires along the way. And I'm sure a lot of you have many ideas and suggestions on how to improve the game, so share them in the comments down below. That will be all from me from today. Take care, people. Bye bye.